My name is Joe Prim, and I am the host of Prepare.Defend.Lead. In this episode, I want to touch on something I have been thinking a lot about lately, and that is what you want is often not what's best for you. Catch you on the other side of the intro.
The comfort and distractions of today collide to indulge our desires and provide a slow death by apathy. A superior primitive ethos exists. Prepare for tomorrow. Defend what you value and lead those you love. This mindset is the foundation of living an authentic life as a bold, disciplined man resolute in your mission. Prepare, defend, lead. Your mission. Own it.
All right. Thank you for joining me here on this episode. If this is your first time listening to Prepare, Defend, Lead, welcome. Good to have you here. If you have been coming around and listening for a while, thanks. I do appreciate your support, appreciate you listening, and appreciate you spreading the word about this podcast. Last week, I skipped an episode of PDL, a lot going on, in a lot of different areas as we wrap up this first quarter of the year. So I apologize to those for not giving a better heads up that I would be skipping an episode, but we'll follow it up this week with probably a rather short episode compared to what I've been putting out lately. Just want to hit on a topic here real quick that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and I'll be a little bit honest with you guys. I could probably be a little bit more prepared for this episode. But the reality is, this podcast, I do not want it to be about the homeless epidemic here or what's going on with the homelessness here in the Austin area. But rather, at the end, I'm going to flip the script on you and spin it around onto you. And that's really the point I want to get across. But before that, just a little update. If you asked for and sent me an email requesting or signed up to receive my book when it came out, you should have received the book last week. That was one of the things I was doing rather than putting out a podcast, was making sure that the book got completed and wrapped up and edited and looked through and read through several times and sent out to you guys. So if you feel that you should have received one and you didn't, and maybe got deleted off of the mailing list or something happened, direct message me on Instagram and I will make sure that you get a copy sent out to you. Otherwise, if not, hang in there. I'm working on getting that up on Kindle and on CreateSpace, so I'll be able to print copies of the book when it's available. So hang in there, those of you that are looking for it or want to check it out upon release. It should be coming out very soon. It's getting formatted right now for Kindle and for CreateSpace, and once that's done, I'll get it out there as soon as possible. And follow me on Instagram at Prepare.Defend.Lead, and that's a great place to keep up with what's going on, release dates, new podcast episodes, and all that sort of all the other crazy shenanigans that I'm up to here with homesteads and overland projects and family and all sorts of crazy stuff. So if you want to keep up with what's going on, Instagram is definitely the place to follow. So let's get back to that question I asked at the very beginning of this episode. What you want is often not what's best for you. So right now, homelessness in Austin is really epic proportions. Coming from the Chicago area and having lived in that area for over 20 years, 25, or probably close around between 25 and 30 years, and being in and out of Chicago, there was really nothing there that compares to what's going on with the homelessness here in Austin. And a big part of what's going on is at some point before we moved here, there were some ordinances passed about allowing the homeless to camp on public property and allowing them to panhandle. Two things that are obviously illegal almost everywhere else. And let's put partisanship aside. I do not believe that there is any ill intent by the politicians here, maybe not making the choices that I would make, or even the right choices. But I do believe that they felt like, or probably or stubbornly still feel like, giving these people, giving the homeless what they want is what's best for them. And my thoughts on this is that what we want is often not what's best for us. So I kind of look at it in three ways, right? Or three different groups of people that end up homeless, end up living on the streets and trying to fend for themselves there. And that those three categories, I would say, and this is just a simplified version of this, right? We have the people with mental issues. And we don't really help those people whatsoever by allowing them to just live on the street, to fend for themselves. A lot of these people really need help. They need help. A lot of them need some medications, perhaps. A lot of them need a doctor to oversee them. A lot of them need people to listen so that they can talk through their issues and receive some healing, right? Then we have people that are living on the streets because of addiction problems, right? Whether it be drugs, alcohol, gambling even, right? And it's put them on the streets. We don't really help those people either by just allowing them to do what they want to do, right? To keep their addictions going. We're not helping them by doing that. And then number 3 category, I'd say, is the people that are down on their luck, right? 1, 2, maybe 3 things just didn't break their way. They lost their home, or there was a death in their family, or a depression took hold, or there was a divorce, and they're people that never in their wildest dreams would have thought that they would see themselves in such a difficult situation, and there they are. And again, it doesn't really help them to just allow them to fend for themselves and try to panhandle and live on the streets. Now, we take that on one side of the way of trying to solve this dilemma, this major problem, right, of just letting people do what they want to do. And then we look at the other side, and there's an organization here in the Austin area that I don't know a ton about, and in fact, I would like to get more involved with them, and we'll definitely be looking into more about what they're about, and you can check them out at mlf.org. And that's Loaves and Fishes, Mobile Loaves and Fishes. It's a ministry here that helps people recover from their addictions, puts them up in tiny homes or RVs, puts them in a situation where they can get cleaned up both mentally and physically, helps provide them with clothing, helps provide them with people to write resumes for them, to help gives them an address as they're looking for work, as they're looking for jobs, really tries to encourage these people. In fact, let me check on their website real quick here. I want to give this quote that they have on the front page, because it's completely the opposite way of looking at things than letting people do what they want to do. And it's a 51-acre master planned community that provides affordable permanent housing in a supportive community for men and women coming out of chronic homelessness. A development of Mobile Loaves and Fishes. This transformative residential program exists to love and to serve our neighbors who have been living on the streets, while also empowering the surrounding community into a lifestyle of service with the homeless. So we have 2 very contrasting ways of looking at how to solve this problem. Either let people continue on their own path, doing what they want to do, or giving them the help. So we have, or giving them the help that they need, right? So let's compare and contrast the 2. Because the people that I see living on the streets are living in filth. There's garbage everywhere. They're living out of tents. They're dirty. They're unkempt. They're struggling. Versus this other organization, which has showers, the ability to groom, provides clean clothes. We have people living on the streets in tents. We have people living in this ministry with homes. We have people living on the streets suffering from the demons of addiction, while we have a ministry that's providing recovery from addictions. We have people on the street living in fear of where their next meal is going to come from, if they're going to get hurt, if they're going to make it through the night, versus people that have a purpose. And then we have people on the streets with hopelessness of not knowing what kind of what their future may hold, to people with hope. Now, being a true believer in freedom, these are the consequences, right? We need to allow people to make the choices of what they want to do in their life. We can't force them to go one way or force them to go another way. We can, but that's not necessarily right either. But the reason this thought came to my mind, this whole idea of what you want is often not what's best for you, was day after day I passed by this group of homeless people that live in tents under an overpass near where I work. And every day as I pass by, I see the same old man looking in exactly the same direction, in exactly the same old office chair, with the same blank, hopeless stare on his face. Now, I don't know if this look is coming off of a high. I don't know if this look is the look of a drunk old man. I don't know if this look is just a tired old man who tried to sleep through the night on cold concrete. I don't know. But I do know this, as I looked at him and I saw the hopelessness, as I saw the lack of a purpose, the lack of a clear direction on this guy, on this man who's living under a overpass in this great country that we live in. As I saw him, I realized that I need to also learn some lessons from this. And what I realized in that moment was what I had shared at the beginning of this episode. What you want is often not what's best for you. Many of these people that are living in these tents, living under overpasses, panhandling on the streets, cleaning windows for a little bit of cash here and there, that's where they want to be. That allows them just enough to get their necks fixed. There's an organization probably coming by to get them just enough food to eat. They're doing what they want to do. But it's obviously, from a vantage point, from a distance, not what's best for them. It's obviously not what's best for them. So with that in mind, with the idea in mind that we as humans often make decisions that are what we want, and those decisions that we make are often not what's best for us, we got to turn that around onto myself. And I need to start to look at myself and say, am I making decisions in my life that are not the best for me? Now, we know it's easy to see in our children the decisions that they make are often not what's best for them, right? If we let them make their choices and their decisions on what time they went to bed or what they ate for dinner or for breakfast each day, we know that it would be a disaster, right? Because we as human beings often want things that aren't the best for us. But where this becomes tricky as an adult is that often the things that we want are rather difficult to distinguish from what's best for us. Some of us are out there and we're pursuing maybe a degree, right? And that looks like, by any stretch of the imagination, that's what would be what's best for us. But what if the time, energy, effort, and money that we invest into that degree cost us our marriage, or cost us one of our children, or cost us in another area, right? Some of us are out there, we're seeking a promotion, or seeking that new home, or that boat, or that fancy vacation. But what's the cost? Are we seeking things that are best for us? And then there's some of you out there that are chuckling away at me talking about striving for a degree or a promotion or a new home or a boat. And you're saying, I'm content where I am right now. Believe me, I'm content. But some of you out there might be listening, and what you're chasing after is a fantasy football award, a new level for your mage in some video game. Some of you out there might be chasing diabetes. And some of you guys out there, unfortunately, might be chasing another 50 pounds. Because what we want is often not what's best for us. So really, I want to leave this episode right there. I talk a lot in these episodes of PDL about self-evaluation and the value and the necessity to evaluate ourselves, our motives, the costs, the consequences of our actions, of our inactions, of the things that we say, of the relationships that we build, of where we put our time and energy and efforts. We only have one opportunity here. We only have a certain amount of days that we get to fulfill a role as a father to our daughter. And then, again, another set amount of days where we can fulfill that role as a father to our sons. And we only have a certain amount of days and time and energy and effort to invest into our marriage, or invest into our career, or invest into our hobbies, hunting or fishing or cars or video games or sports, right? Our time, our energy, and our efforts are finite. And if we do not stay on top of ourselves, if we do not continually evaluate on, at the very least, a weekly, if not daily, sometimes hourly basis, why we're doing what we're doing, and if what we want is worth the effort that we're putting in, and if what we want and what we're striving for and what we're fighting for is really what's best for us. Some of you just want to win that next fight on Facebook. Some of you just want to win that next fight with your brother or sister or your wife. Take some time, especially as we're rounding out the first quarter of this year. Can you believe how quickly 2021 is flying by? As we wrap up these first 3 months of this year, take some time to evaluate what you're doing, where you're going, and why you're trying to get there. Because if you don't, time will pass by and you will continue to strive to get what it is that you want. If you're going to put that energy and that effort and make those sacrifices, because when you invest into one thing, you're not investing into something else. When you're doing one thing, that means there's something else that you're not doing. I'm not asking you to change your ways. I'm not asking you to change your ideas. I'm not asking you to change your goals. I'm asking you simply to question them, to take the time to evaluate them. Because we as human beings far too often get caught up in chasing what we want. And again, that's often not what's best for us. And as leaders of a household, as leaders of companies, as leaders of ministries, what's best for you, if you're not chasing after or fighting for what's best for you, you're often putting the rest of the people that you are leading in a more difficult spot than you will probably be putting yourself into. Because if what you want is often not what's best for you, then what you want is maybe not what's best for your wife. If what you want is not best for you, if that means what you want is probably not best for your employees. If what you want is not the best for you, it very well could be that what you want is not good for your children either. So as we close out this first quarter of this year, and we charge into the second quarter of this year to make an impact, to make a difference, to build relationships, to build rapport, to become better at communicating, to get outside of our comfort zone and push ourselves, take into consideration, take some time to evaluate what it is that you're chasing after, and make sure that that is what's best for you, for those in your care, for those that you love, for those that are important to you, that it's not just about you and something that you want, that is actually what's best. So that wraps up this episode. Like I said, I wanted to keep it short and sweet. If you want to find out more information, again, about what's going on with the homeless here in Austin, go check out mlf.org. They seem like a really solid organization that is really putting the right heart into helping those that, frankly, are in a position to probably not help themselves very much. So as we move into this next quarter, there will be some changes to the podcast. Hopefully going to get into doing some more interviews again like I used to do on Ever Vigilant. I'd like to get a little bit more into doing that. Maybe some other changes along the way as into this next quarter. Now that the book is kind of on the back burner, I'm going to put more of a focus into this podcast, into making it the best podcast that I possibly can, and bringing in some people with some different viewpoints and some different ways of looking at things so we can learn and grow and become stronger men, bolder men, men with a mission, men with a vision, and men with the right heart to continue moving forward in the right direction. As always, hold fast and God bless.